welcome to episode 5 of the Culture Cousins podcast. I'm Tiffany,
I'm Zerrina.
and we are two cousins criticizing the culture, and we know you can relate. Welcome to episode 5. Uh, we are going to just start with a little, TV chat to start. Um, so as you know, we do our usual cabaret recap for Jocelyn's cabaret, and we'll start there. So, what did you think about this latest episode? There's a lot to unpack here.
What happened at first? Of course, they started with their typical 5 different conversations about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was, I thought it was a good episode. I guess just getting into the grit of what happened with Amber, and Diamond. What's her name?
Mm-hmm.
That's just very interesting. Just like the N-word situation where, because Diamond, if y'all don't watch Jocelyn Cabaret, just so we can give y'all like a background, because we're saying names and all that, y'all people who don't watch don't really understand. But Diamond is like one of the characters on the show, and she casually says the N word a lot, and no one has yet to call her out on it until this episode, because Diamond, she is Puerto Rican, but she's not
Allegedly.
black. Yeah, she's not black, and it's like you can be Puerto Rican and still be white, like just because or whatever, like you can be Puerto Rican and be black or whatever. Like it just depends. Like that's what country you're from, but that's not your ethnicity. So she's physically like you can tell she's not a black woman, like by looking at her. She doesn't look like a black woman. It's pretty clear. I mean, she may be from Puerto Rico, but it doesn't automatically make you black. And you can even compare her to Jocelyn, because Jocelyn is Puerto Rican, and she definitely looks a little different than Diamond does. Not as far as complexion, but like the texture of her hair. Like she looks like a black woman. Um, so the issue was that Amber called her out basically about saying the N word, and Jocelyn was like, "Who said the N word? Was it you?" Like, no.
I love that she thought it was the white girl at first.
Right?
Like,
She's like, no. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting because like K Capri was just like, oh, it's a cultural thing, and I feel like sometimes a lot of like Hispanic people, they get a pass for saying the N-word sometimes, which they shouldn't, because I get how in some cultures, like maybe like in the north, like sometimes I feel like they say it more casually, and I just feel like it depends. Like I don't think they should say it, period, but if you are around your friends, you have to realize that not every black person is going to be okay with you saying the N-word around them. If your black friends are okay with you saying the N-word around them, okay, wait till you get around them. But you can't just be going around saying that just around anybody, because not everybody's going to receive that the same way. Like that's a word that we've taken back from people, and whether or not, just because we say it casually, if this comes from a person that's not black, it hits differently. And then it's just like at first, and like I felt like when she first said it, like maybe that first time it could have been like a casual thing, but when Amber called her out on it this episode, it turned into casual to derogatory, and she was trying to use that word to hurt her, and she deserved that beat down that she got
she
from
did.
Amber.
I was like, yeah,
Because
and I
she
rarely
kept
did.
saying it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept saying that's how I talk, and it's like, no, that is not how you talk, because if that's how you talk, it wouldn't be like you can be able to like you would have to force that out, and she had to like force it, like force the tone, and for like just so she can like sound hard or whatever, and that's how it's not like a natural thing that she says, because it sticks out whenever she out of all her conversation when she's talking, it sticks out. So that's how I know it's not something that she just is just natural. I feel like because she feels like she feels comfortable enough that she thinks she can get away with saying that, and she wants probably to seem cool, or like I don't know, like I feel like she wants to be like feel like the black women are like accepting her into that culture because everyone else around her is saying it. So I feel like maybe because she's around like maybe a lot of black women that she feel like she can say it too, or she wants to say it just so she can be like, hey, I'm like y'all or whatever. But it's like, no, you're not like us. You can't just say that word like that. So
Yeah.
um and I was surprised how K Capri like responded to it. It was like, oh, that's part of her culture. You just have to understand and just like you can't tell someone else how to react to racism.
Especially since she's so easily offended by stuff and she felt
Right.
something was
She
disrespected.
is so easily offended by stuff.
Hmm.
Um, when it came down to the performances, I thought speaking of Kate Capri, she really did kill her performance outside of that. Like I was shocked with well, I wasn't really shocked because I feel like she has really been like talented, but I feel like because of her appearance and her anger issues, that has really gotten her like that really outshined of her actual talent. But she definitely deserves to be in a cabaret. But I guess I saw in a sneak peek that I guess she's not gonna get chosen for it, which is unfortunate because she's like one of the best dancers. But I do think, I mean, it's also a good decision to not keep her in it because she is like a fuse. Like 1 second she's okay, but you bump into her, she's like, "Oh my god, how could you do that?" And it's just like it's
Always
too
yelling.
much. Um,
And then had the nerve to tell Amber to stop yelling. I was
right.
confused.
It's like two angry people telling each other to calm down. Like what? But yeah, that's pretty much what I thought of the episode. I'm excited for next week because I want to know why Jocelyn just do that apple at Chanel head like that. That was funny because I was not expecting her to do that, and I still kind of want. I feel like with the dress situation, that's something else I want to talk about because on the show, Amber, one of the that's kind of what initiated the whole conversation about the N word because Amber, one of the other cast members, her dress before the last performance last week, her dress got ruined by somebody in the house and no one knows who did it. And everyone was talking about it, and one of the girl that said the N word, she was in like the conversation when they were talking about who everybody was just talking about, oh, who like messed up her dress. And like no one was even accusing her of anything. She was like, well, were you trying to say I did it? And that let me know right there that means you did it because no one even was accusing you of anything. You just automatically see that as like, oh, I hope they don't
Hmm.
try to accuse me of it.
Guilty speak
So
first.
right. So that's what I really want to know. I want to know who messed up her dress, but I guess that'll probably come out later on, but I don't know.
How I feel about the N word topic, I like you said, I was glad Amber got them licks in because she deserved it because she thought she wasn't gonna do anything to her, so she was gonna keep on doing it. And then even after she got beat, she still set it up against the wall, but she waited until she was where she couldn't get her. But she wasn't taking into no account like if someone's saying what you're saying is hurting me or it's making me feel some type of way, at least take into some consideration. She was like, bump that. That's how I talk. You don't like it. Oh, well. Like, and you're
Right.
in a room full of your host, your boss is black. So, I mean, I feel like that was just egotistical of her to continue in that manner. Um, as far as the cultural thing, I don't like when people say, oh, well, and not to be like insensitive to any race, but I don't like when people say, oh, well, they're Puerto Rican, they identify as black, so this is acceptable of them, because I feel like only in reference to people want to be a part of black culture when it's cool or when they think
Hmm.
it benefits them, but when it comes to actual struggle and obstacles that we as black people face, then they want to say, oh, well, I'm Puerto Rican, I don't know, da 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 da, or I'm Dominican, or whatever edge they want to have. They don't want to take in that, like, don't be sometiming with it. If you want to be a part, if you identify da 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 da, then be 100% committed to what you do.
Yeah.
It's not just when you feel like it. We are
Right.
black when we wake up, when we go to sleep, and we have obstacles that we face, and it's not something that we get to choose when we decide we want to do it. So that's just insensitive to the culture.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I feel like if you have to say I identify as black, or I am so and so as black, if you have to put anything in front of it, then that's not black. Because I feel
Yeah.
like when you're black, you don't have to say I identify as black. You know, everyone knows that you're. It's just is just like obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I get like there's a lot of identity crisis, like especially with women who are like mixed and that type of thing, and that's a struggle that I can't speak on because I don't know, but
Yeah.
um I just feel like as being a black woman, a lot of people want to take our, our style, the baby hairs, the full lips, the hips, the everything, and
Right.
use it to advance themselves when it's convenient. And then when they get over it, they're just like, you
Right.
know? So I feel like our language and the way that we speak should just be something reserved for us.
Right. Right.
And it doesn't have to be offensive to or issue to anyone else because it's ours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else I wanted to say about this episode? Riri, I'm trying to figure out if her dimples are pierced or what's happening with her cheeks because I don't see no jewelry in it, but it looks very distinct. Um, I just like that. I think it's cute, but I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with her with that look.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing Jocelyn and Ballistic together. I think like they're such a cute couple. Like just the
Yeah.
aesthetics of them two. Um, and Amber to me, she kind of reminds me of Michelle from Destiny's Child. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but she
Her
reminds
raspy
me.
voice.
Yeah, she just reminds me of her. Um, I'm still a fan of Lexi Blow because Lexi Blow is like the most unproblematic character. I feel like she may have a a tiny ounce of shade in her, but she doesn't
Yeah.
she doesn't do
Tiny
it
ounce.
uh just she doesn't do it to like interfere with any
Yeah.
progress. I like her because, she come in, she focused on the work, she looks nice, Jocelyn likes her, but I feel like all of those things, like she don't take it to the head, she don't hold it over the other girls.
Yeah.
Like she's just like a rare breed of contestants on there. So
Yeah.
I like her.
Definitely.
I like her because of that. And I like the little ponytail look she rocking
Mm-hmm.
right now. Um, I do believe that Lollipop was pressed about that money. I love
Yeah. She is
Jocelyn.
so annoying.
Yeah, and I love when Jocelyn checked her real quick, and I love that she used Beyonce as a standard. She's like, "You think you look better than Beyonce?" Like that was just so funny
And
to
then
me.
she said, yeah. I was like, okay. Wow.
I knew she was gonna say that. I just knew it. I knew she was gonna say that. Um, but yeah, she was pressed, and like when people be super cocky like that, no matter how attractive they are, like sometimes that just makes them
Yeah.
ugly. Like
Yeah.
don't be so full of yourself.
Right. Right.
Um, Chanel did good in her performance. Um, I feel like she's just gotten too comfortable. And I feel like
Yeah.
when she was the captain, she was like big headed about it. And now that she's
Mm-hmm.
not captain, like I don't feel like she has much motivation to do much.
Right. Right.
Although she did do well this last little audition, but I feel like she just did that because of what happened previously.
Yeah.
Um, Wit just there, just sitting while she healed. But if I was her, I wouldn't want to get in no more fights the rest of the season because that was
Right.
um. What else I got? But yeah, that's pretty much it for the show. I think I am excited to see next week, but I feel like I saw Capri on the next episode, like she was there. I don't know for sure, but I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Um, yeah, and then one time on Instagram or whatever, I think Jocelyn posted that she was practicing for her show, and in the comments it was like, sorry. In the comments it was like, I hope these not the winners. It was funny because they had like she had like four girls. I don't remember. I think the one with the pixie cut was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember who else. But in the comments, it's like, I hope these not the girls that won. You know, them comments be ruthless sometimes.
Right.
But I'm like, y'all gotta stop putting out the current content and wait for the show to play because
Right,
sometimes
right.
that be happening
They
on other
always do that every
shows.
season.
Mm-hmm.
And then people already know what happened. Like before like the last few episodes air, like they already know the winner and what's gonna happen. But this season, like I said, this season is different. Like I don't know if there's gonna be just a winner. Maybe she's just gonna
Right.
have one last show.
Yeah.
I don't know how she may redirect the show as the season goes on.
Right. That's true. I didn't think about that, but I think I saw that before she announced like the multiple nights. I just,
Hmm.
but them comments, man, the comment section, ooh, it's, I be turning, even though I'm not at that level, like my comments are turned off. I don't want to see nothing negative, and I think if I ever were to reach like maximum levels of stardom, they would stay like that because just show me that if you want to like it, that's fine, but I don't need that negativity. Like, now, my content that I put out that's like related to the podcast or just content creation, then I open the comments up because I
You want
want
to
to
hear
read
feedback,
feedback.
right?
But like just on my regular picture, like I don't need you saying, "Oh, well, your feet look so and so and so." Like,
Hmm.
no, no. If
Yeah.
I um, but yeah, that's all my commentary on the show. Yeah. Anything
What
else with
else did you
TV?
watch this weekend?
Okay, so my new obsession is this Druski is a content creator. I don't know if you follow him or not.
Yeah,
And he got
he's
this,
funny.
yes, and he got this blind dates show that he does on Twitch,
Oh
and
my
I have
god.
been watching it, and it's okay. So I have kind of like a love hate type of feeling towards this show because the concept of it is great. It's entertaining. It's funny,
Hmm.
but they just run it so unorganized, and it likes to
Yeah.
drive me crazy. And so they'll get there and like first of all when we first click on it they have like this countdown while I'm going because they preparing for the show,
Hmm.
but then when the countdown is over and the actual screen pops up they still not prepared.
Yeah.
And they'll have like the celebrity guest, which I saw one that had Rick Ross, Kevin Gates, and Brittany Renner.
Hmm.
So with the watching the like the rappers, the male rappers on there, it was so annoying because you can tell that men with money don't have to try hard to get or like court women
Yeah.
because with Kevin Gates especially, oh my god, like he was just sitting up there trying to be like, yeah, and he would ask them questions and whatever the answer would be like, yeah, well, I can tell she went through a lot of hurt and she got trauma and da da da. It's like he's trying to like he's their therapist versus actually trying to know them. And
When
then
it comes to a male rapper, they're always gonna do the bare minimum.
yeah, and then um so he was like, and then at the end of it, he was like, well, number three, I can make her be anything I wanted her to be. Number four, da 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 da. And then they'll be talking like trying to answer his question, and he be like,
Hmm.
and they'll be talking like, yeah, da, da, da. Be like, okay, I got a question, I got a question. And I'm like, let her answer before you interrupt her and say you got another question. That is rude. Like that was just driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Um, Young and May was on there one time, and she was just acting like a kid the whole show, and she was like, because they put blindfolds on them, like literally so they can't see the person.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Oh my god, I can't see. I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Girl, get it
She probably never
together."
been on TV before. She just don't know how to be funny. Like that's the only thing she know how to say.
It was annoying to watch. Um Brittany Renner was my favorite one so far because, and I guess this is me just identifying with her because she would get on there right the first contestant sit down, and she was like, do you have kids or whatever? And then he was like, yeah, and then she was like, well, when was the last time you interacted with your baby mama? And he was like 2 months ago, and she was like, what? 2 months ago? Next, da 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 da, like that. And the girl up there that hosts with him was like, well, why are you saying next? Give him a chance. And she was like, he's already letting me know what I needed to know. Like, there's no point in me sitting talking to this guy. I see this type of behavior that he goes on. He's not ready for something new or something, whatever.
Right.
And then she
I
just
agree.
and and then she was just like giving it straight up, and they was getting mad at her because she was like next person, and I'm like, there's nothing. I mean, I get it's a show and they want to like spend time, but like if you up there and the person done told you what you want to know, what you need to know,
Right.
like there ain't no point of dragging it out. Like I
Right.
be like that in real life. Like if I talk to you and you say something and it shows me a red flag, I'm done. Like I'm not
Right.
trying to like drag it out just to say I'm talking to somebody. Like that's
Right.
I hate that. And I was like, yes, sis, get them out of there. And then it was just annoying me that they wanted her to accept something that she was not ready to accept.
Right.
And but she was unapologetic about it. And she wasn't well, she was she was a little feisty, a little rude, but that's just her personality. Um and then at the end of the thing, or maybe in the middle, she was like, "Oh, well, I'm a Pisces or whatever," and I was like, "Ah, that explains it." But you know, I've watched maybe a few clips of things she's done recently, and I know like people try to make like she's like a I don't know, like they have a negative reputation surrounding her, but everything that I've seen that she's done, like she's been giving it up. Like I don't see nothing that she says that's like super out of pocket or
Yeah.
and I feel like just because she's a woman and she's confident and
Right. People do
open.
not like that. People do not like women who are very super, super confident. Like a woman that acts like Kanye West. People don't like that.
And that's a good analogy. Yeah, she's just like, and ever because I didn't really know what to think about her. I just kind of I don't go off what people say about people. I just kind of like watch and make my own like observations. And from
Right.
what I see, and then they were talking about how like she was a predator on a younger guy to have a kid, and he was a football or athlete or something. And then she was like, well, my son has his father's name. Like we were in a committed relationship, like we were trying to work towards something. I can't help that X, Y, and Z happened. And I'm like, if you think about it, like people don't really just like if it's not really super serious, like they don't take the time to like name the third of like the father or whatever the
Right.
case may
Right.
be. And I'm like, that sounds like, accurate. Like I feel like people just want to give her a hard time.
Yeah.
And she like there's countless number of men that find younger women and, try to trap them or whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
And no one says anything about it. And it's just like
Exactly.
I hate that, but I'm somewhat a fan of Brittany Renner now. But well, I
Hmm.
don't say fan, but I
Yeah.
like what she's doing out there.
Yeah.
Um, but I love that show. It's like I just I wish that I wish I could just watch a more mature version of that show
Right. Right.
because
Right.
they just real childish on there, and I'm just like. And then they got like this chat thing where people are making the comments and they're like, "What's going on in the chat?" And they be like, "Oh well, the chat say she capped." Oh, and another thing they do is they put lie detector on the guest, not the celebrity. Because the celebrity can be lying too. I'm like, why don't y'all put lie
Right.
detectors on both of them?
Because they don't want the celebrity don't want that. Like they don't want
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But I like the fact that they put lie detectors on it. It kind of makes it interesting. But people don't really be up there telling lies a lot. Maybe like one or two that I've seen out of the 4 episodes I watched.
Hmm.
So, but it's really entertaining. Like if you ain't got nothing to do and you just want to be entertained, like watch that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's it for TV for me.
This weekend I just watched a lot of Disney movies. Like I was in Disney overload this weekend,
Mhm.
and like I realized like certain things like make me cry, and like other things don't. Like I could watch like a scary movie and or like a movie where it's like a very graphic like killing or something and not like shed a tear. But I was watching Brother Bear and I was just like, oh, mm,
Is that a
just cry.
cartoon?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like, why is this making me cry?
I get
But
that. We
not
got.
like a
I got a
scary
question I
movie.
want to ask in the later that kind of ties into this, but go
Mm.
ahead.
And so I watched Brother Bear. What else I watched? I think I watched Mulan because you got me in the mood for that this weekend. I was like, I gotta watch me some Mulan because she kept playing Mulan music in the car, like.
Hmm.
So I was
There were
like,
kids. There were kids. I wasn't just.
but that was like, okay, that got me in like a Disney type of mood. What else I
Hmm.
watched? I watched like Cinderella, Peter Pan, and something I noticed with Disney Plus, like now they have this like warning in the beginning of some of the movies, like pretty much like a trigger warning, because a lot of their older movies had a lot of racist like stuff in it and like offensive stuff in it, and
Hmm.
and like I was just watching like some of the cartoons that I never like watched before, and like pretty much everyone that was old that I clicked on was like it had that message on there. I'm like, dang, what offensive thing they said in this one? And then I watched, and I was like, okay, okay, because it's not just like maybe like a black thing. It's sometimes it's like stuff with Native Americans,
Hmm.
Asian Americans, stuff like that, like very like offensive stuff.
Do you have a
And
favorite Disney movie?
um my favorite cartoon would be like Sleeping Beauty. That's not you have to break it up in categories, honestly.
Okay.
Sleeping Beauty is my favorite cartoon because it's just like it's a very like the music in that one is very like beautiful and very calming. It's like very comforting for me to watch. Um and then my like I guess you could say like maybe original movie would be Holes with Shia LaBeouf. Like that is like a top tier Disney
Mm.
movie. Like I feel like I would that could be something that could come out like on a regular like movie theaters. And the Cheetah Girls, of course. Um, let me see what else. I like the 13th Year. That's a really good movie. Yeah, I think those are like my favorites. Uh, I can't think of any other cartoon. I feel like the newer cartoons aren't really my favorite. Like the ones like even with the Disney princesses, ever since they like changed all the Disney princesses to like 3D, like I don't like it anymore. Like the only one that I like that's like a 3D one is Tangled. And that's based off like Rapunzel. And
Hmm.
like this is like it just lost its touch after Tiana, Princess and the Frog. But I would like to see like Disney do maybe like an African princess where she's from like Africa or like
I like
Egypt or
that.
something. Well, I could say kind of did that with
Prince
wait,
of Egypt.
yeah, but it's just like they weren't
Okay,
black.
low key, that cartoon was so fun. Like
He was he
I,
did it.
I was
Um,
like, whoa.
but I
Ooh.
feel like with that, it's just like they weren't black. Of course, not all. They're not. Of course, not everyone in Africa is black, but still, it's just like I want that representation of a black woman, a black princess in Africa. It doesn't have to be in
And
Egypt. It
don't
can
let
be any
it be
country.
where she not a princess the whole movie. Let her be
Right,
a human.
right. And she's going through whatever in the movie. You can be whatever you want, but that's what I like. Something else I watched, Final Destination. That's what I watched. Another something else I watched this weekend. I just like that movie because it's like it just blows my mind how like situations can just be like basically what the movie says in every movie is like sometimes like you're meant to like die and stuff like that, and like pretty much the main character of the movie is trying to prevent um his friends from dying because I guess like in every movie there's like this freak accident that's supposed to happen and he can see it before it happens, and so he tries to get all his friends like off of the plane or out the road or something before it happens, and then pretty much like I guess there's no real killer in the movie because the killer is death like itself, and basically
Mm.
what it's saying is that death will follow you like no matter
You
what
can't
because that's his
escape it.
plan. Yeah.
Hmm.
um so there's like five of them but I only watched like two. And then something else I watched was Dead Presidents because I really want to start watching like some of these black classics that I haven't seen before, because I'm
Hmm.
tired of everybody saying like if I don't see something they were like, what, you didn't see this song? Like
Story of my life.
let me get this catalog up. And so like Dead Presidents, that's something else I never watched, and that was a pretty good movie. I wasn't expecting when I first watched it, I wasn't expecting it to take it the turns that it did because it's starring Lorenz Tate, and basically it's
Mhm.
first set like in the late 60s, and he goes off to war, and he's like heavily traumatized by the war, and I guess there's like kind of like a politic and propaganda like saying like we shouldn't like black people shouldn't be going and participating in the war and being in the military because it's not for us and stuff like that. Um, I really was trying to pay attention to it and figure out what happened in the end, but I just couldn't because like the movie is like too action packed. I just get like kind of overstimulated,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm just like, okay, everything's blowing up. Okay, I'm about to look at my phone, like because I get lost in like all those action scenes. But if
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like it was a good movie up until like the end because at the end, I really don't know what happened at the end because I stopped paying attention. But up until that, it was a really good movie. Um, I was watching the Steve Harvey show because they put that on Tubi
The
TV, I
judge
think.
one or
No, his actual like TV show
his
with
talk
Cedric
stuff?
the Entertainer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was watching that. That was like a good comfort show to watch. I wanted to actually like, what do you think like is the best streaming service? Like the best and the worst streaming service?
Whoa. Well, my favorite music streaming service is Tidal because I just kind of been listening to that ever since like Jay-Z invented it because they were talking about the bigger purposes of like artists because a portion of me wants partakes in artistry
Yeah.
and they was just like, well, we want the artists to have like a stake in the company because these corporations like Apple and what's the other one, maybe Spotify, like
Hmm.
take so much percentage of the money
Yeah.
and the artists don't see it, da 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 da. But with Title,
Yeah.
you have a piece of the stake and you have some ownership, da da da, or whatever
Yeah.
their cause was. So I've just been listening to it, uh
Yeah.
using it because of that. For
Hmm.
as TV, I don't necessarily know if I have a favorite or a worst. I just go to certain ones when whatever comes out that I want to see
Right.
is on that one.
Right.
Um, I don't like uh I won't necessarily say I don't like a certain one, but sometimes I don't like where they put those categories that say like strong black voices and then they're like
Right.
slave movies. I'm
Right.
just like that's not defining our strength. Like I hate
Right.
when they do.
You can have so many more black movies that, because people always say like, "Oh, we want black movies without trauma," but there are black movies without trauma.
They
I can
just
name a
don't promote it.
right. They don't promote it, and it's just like, I mean, you have to define like what is not trauma because I feel like Roll Bounce, that's not a trauma. That's not a trauma film. Fat Albert, with Kenan Thompson, that's not a trauma film. Um, there's a bunch of ones like movies like that I can name like those aren't trauma films to me. A lot of Disney movies starring black people. Um, Cheetah Girls, that's mostly like I feel like even though it's not all black cast, like I feel like it's catered to like black girls. I feel like um, and that's a lot of Disney movies are not like traumatic, like Jump In with Keke Palmer, Akilah and the Bee. Like those are all really good like representations. I feel like um, but they just don't. I guess people forget about it, but I guess they want something new, which is understandable. Like black movies about like fairies and witches and like futuristic stuff. Like just something different, which is something that we need. But I feel like there are like stuff they can show from when it's like Black History Month, and they want to promote like have they should put those movies more on streaming services too. But
Yeah.
uh, like my favorite streaming service would probably be Hulu, just because I feel like Hulu has a lot of has the most content. Like if I could only pick one streaming service to like watch the rest of the month, I would probably pick Hulu because they got a good bit of movies on there, they got a good bit of shows, and plus like they got new shows like shows that are on TV that are streamable.
Mhm.
Um, and like I want to like HBO Max, I really do, because they got a lot of movies on there. Like, oh, I didn't know they had this like type of thing, but it's super super glitchy. Like every time I watch a movie on HBO Max, it stopped halfway through.
Hmm.
So that's why I just can't like. It's not like it doesn't make me want to keep my subscription up. I'm not paying $10 a month for you to be stopping in the middle of the movie. Like
Hmm.
that's just ridiculous. And Netflix is like sometime because I feel like Netflix has the best original series. Like Hulu, that's what one thing Hulu needs to work on. Like Hulu does not have a lot of good original content. Like their shows don't really be hitting their like original Hulu shows. They don't be hitting like that. But Netflix shows they be hitting like they be really coming through with the shows on Netflix. But
It
as far as
seems
movies, Netflix they only keep your favorite movie on there for about a month, and then they're like, okay, leaving soon. I was like, you just got here. Um, but but like um another streaming service I like is Tubi because it's free. And people always say like they like the little low budget black movies on there, but this is an unpopular opinion. I do not like those low budget black movies because it's just like I get it. It's supposed to be funny because it's so bad, but there's not funny. It's
um
bad, and I don't want to
when
watch it.
when you say that, two things. First, I want to say this because I don't want to forget. There is an app, and I think it's just called Black, or it may just be BLCK or something like that. I gotta find out like the official name, but they have just all black movies
Hmm.
streaming, and it's a couple good ones on there that I watch
Oh,
from
okay.
time to time. But it's a good app if you're
Hmm.
looking just for black movies of
Hmm.
all like genres.
Okay.
Um, Also, with Netflix, with their original shows, it seemed like they all start the same way, and I don't like it because
Yeah.
if I feel like they start from whatever the event was and then
Hmm.
go back and like,
Yeah, they do that a lot.
please stop that. Let me just watch it as it go. I hate
Yeah.
because you have to try to keep up with everything and like I feel like the fifth one I watched and it happened like that too. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, they definitely have like a kind of way they like to do their shows, like a storyline they try to do every time.
Hmm.
But for me, it's like if I'm invested in the story, then I'm watching. And that's what I like about Netflix shows because they really are like original.
I
But
found it. It's called All Black, so it's ALLBLK. That's the name of the app.
okay, okay. We put a link in the comment section. If y'all want to get some black nostalgic movies, go on there.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I feel like everything else, like I don't like Prime Video because I feel like if you subscribe, okay, great, I'm paying the $7, $8, however much it is, but it's like I gotta pay $2 extra for every movie I want to see. And then it's like they'll have a little free to me section, but then you see all these other great movies for like, oh, they'll be like in the bottom be like, oh, suggested. Like I feel like if you're in the free to me tab, they should only suggest movies that are free to me. If
Mhm.
I'm in a free to me thing, you shouldn't be suggesting stuff that I got paid $3 for.
Mhm.
So that's what I don't like about Prime Video. Um,
They should just put them all together at this point and bring back cable because it's too much. It's too many passwords. It's too many logins.
yeah,
Like enough is
it
enough.
is. It is. It's a lot. Like, um, I won't say like I miss TV because I mean I feel like there's benefits to each because I feel like it's great to just be like, okay, I want to watch Family Guy, and you can just put on Family Guy. You don't have to wait till 11 o'clock or so and so. You can watch it all day whenever you want, whenever wherever you want. So of course that's the benefit to it, but
But
I
they got
definitely
on
feel like
demand.
yeah, yeah, and
They
I feel
just
like cable TV, like I feel like you miss like that excitement you get for a new show to come on. And I feel like now
mhm.
when something new comes on, you can be like, oh, I can just watch that later or whatever. It's not like real like excitement.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that's all I watched this weekend.
Um I wanted to mention something uh that I saw on the Shade Room. They had posted this they had made this post about Jhonni Blaze, and she was in the studio and she was working on something with Neil, I think. And she was just crying in the studio. So this kind of ties into earlier when you said you cried at the movie. But I was, it's like, you know, I like seeing that video of her because I feel like whatever she was creating was something powerful and something
Yeah.
meaningful to her. And I love stuff that can just make you feel like that emotion and bring that out of you.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you, is there like something that you've either watched or listened to that was like super powerful or maybe like life changing or something that you can think of like that?
Um, I don't really say like necessarily powerful, but it was like touching.
Mhm.
'Cause there are certain movies that are just very like touching to me. Like that's kind of stuff that makes me cry. 'Cause it's just like sweet moments. Like because you get a lot of like violence now and like killing. It's almost like okay, I see this all the time. So it's
Yeah.
like when you see a nice, sweet, genuine moment, like that's very like touching and that's something that makes me cry. Um, I think this movie called it's called Little Miss Sunshine. It's a really good movie. It's probably I think it's free somewhere. There's definitely somewhere you can watch on a streaming service, but it's basically about like a little girl. Um, she's like she's like a chubby like little girl or whatever, and she wants to be like in pageants and stuff, but she doesn't have like the pageant look. Like her parents aren't making her put on makeup or have extra hair or like the little like teeth they put on little pageant girls. She's just like regular or whatever, and it's just like throughout the trip, like on their way to go to the pageant, like she just goes through a lot and like has like a lot of self discovery and like when she gets to the pageant, she sees like all the girls are like different from she is, and like her granddad taught her like a really like different kind of like performance or whatever, like a little dance routine, and it was like a little 70s like dance routine where she was like shaking her butt and stuff like that, like doing something that you would normally see a pageant girl do,
Mhm.
and like everybody started booing her, but then her all her family like got up there and started like dancing with her, and like I thought that was like just so touching.
Yeah.
Just like stuff like that. I'm trying to think of something powerful that would make me cry. I don't know. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
And it doesn't have to
Um,
be, an emotional reaction, but maybe just something that empowered you or
mhm.
I don't know. I just think and for me like when I watch movies like I almost feel like if I don't cry it's not a good movie
Oh, really?
because a lot of times if I really like a movie or if there's a happy ending or something like that, I'm going to cry. Like I'm going to be
Yeah,
like, "Oh my god, that was so beautiful." Like,
yeah,
I like movies that make me feel that.
yeah. Another movie I like made me cry is Annie.
Mm,
The original one because I think it was just like I guess a lot of stuff that has like the music, the combination of the scene and the music is like sometimes what makes me cry because like if Annie's a proper movie, most people have seen it, but it's just like they said such like little sweet things in the movie, like Daddy Warbucks when he finally like started that had that attachment towards her, and he was like, "You're my baby now." Like I think that it was like the lyrics for me, like just like
yeah.
"You're my baby, you're not going anywhere." Um, Another movie like that made me cry. Just I guess it's like really personal, but it was a movie. It's a Disney movie, and this is a really good movie for like a cartoon. It was called Mars Needs Moms, and that was a really good movie because I think it was like about a little boy, and he was like very unappreciative of his mom and wouldn't do his chores and stuff like that. And I think his mom got like abducted by aliens or something, and so he had jumped on the ship before they took off and tried to follow her. And basically, what was interesting about it, like all the aliens, like the women basically did were the ones who were worked, and like the men like stayed back and took care of the kids. And I think only women were like I think it was a society where only women could like prevail, and like all the men were like pretty much like they were like they could put them somewhere else or pretty much and like they were like and it goes for like male children and stuff like that, so all the men were like taking care of the male babies and stuff, and the women aliens were like working and stuff like that, and like but they realized like they need like actual mothers to take care of the kids, so that's why they were like kind of kidnapping parents from Earth,
Mhm.
um, to help like parent all the alien babies. But anyway, it got to a part where the mom was about to die because I guess she didn't have any oxygen, an oxygen helmet or something, and she
Mhm.
gave up her oxygen helmet to save her child because he was trying to save her. And and it was just like a touching moment because it makes me think about like my mom and stuff like that and my relationship with her. And it's just like it was just like very like touching because I'm really like close to my mother, so and that was just very touching. Anything
Yeah.
with like moms and stuff like I can relate to, stuff like that. It's just like it's like it made me cry. Like I
Yeah.
love movies like that, but it's like for me, it's like nah. For me, it just depends on the movie, like honestly, and like it has to like touch something in my personal life, and something that and it has to be like an emotion that I kind of feel kind of often. Like that's why it's just like it was something. It is like a heavily traumatic film. Sometimes stuff like that doesn't always make me cry because it's just like I feel like I can't really put myself in their shoes because I've never gone through something that terrible. Not all the time, but it's just like I just can't really because like the only exception I would say like and set it off where like um at the end where Jada Pinkett Smith's character was like crying with all that money. Or have you seen Set It Off?
Mhm.
And she was like crying all that because all her friends and family were dead. And that's like I'm not saying I can relate to that, but I can like because they worked really hard to like really invest you in her character and they really like made you get to know her character, that made you really feel for her. So that's why you like cry. So I feel like if like a show or a movie doesn't really do the work to make you connect with the character, it's not like I'm not gonna cry, you know?
Yeah. Well, speaking of movies, I do want to talk to you about something where I seen where uh there's gonna be a sequel to I Am Legend, with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. Now I haven't seen the first I Am Legend,
Me
but I
neither.
feel
I
like
got
I
put that
would.
on my list.
Yeah. And I know a while back we were talking about, you know, award people just nominating if, it's someone of status like Will Smith. But when I
Mm,
thought about that, they do nominate him, but sometimes when he try to go outside of the box, like they want to label it a flop too. And I
yeah,
think sometimes that just comes along with being a black entertainer.
right.
Cause his movie, I want to say maybe I Robot or something like that. I think they tried to like downplay that, but I feel like they don't want black people to be like sci-fi and
They kind of
you
do that
know,
with Eddie Murphy too.
yeah, yeah. And but I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor, and I love Will Smith as an actor, so I feel like they can't lose with that one.
Yeah. I
So,
feel like it'd be a good movie, but you never know because it's like I feel like they both are good actors, but you never know how their chemistry will be on screen.
hmm, yeah,
So I
that's
feel like
true.
that's where people lose it because it's like I don't know. I mean, I feel like Will Smith. I feel like he can hold his own, but I never even seen the first one, so I feel like I have to watch the first one to really get like a grasp of it. Like, and it's like honestly, I may not even watch first. I may not even watch first one or the second one because I just like I'm not really interested in it. But if I'm bored one day and don't have nothing else to do, I probably will. But I think a good sequel that just came out was Candyman. That was a really good sequel. I really enjoyed that because that was a good movie. Because it was by not well, Jordan Peele didn't make it. Actually, a black woman directed it, and Jordan Peele produced it. But that was a good sequel. But yeah,
I feel like certain movies that I watch like depends on who I'm with, or it
right,
depends on what kind of mood I am. Cause like
right.
horror movies, I will never watch by myself, never, ever.
I'm telling
Action
you, you're
movie,
not right watching the right kind of horror movies because you gotta watch ones that are
I
like,
still won't watch them by myself though.
oh, okay.
I can't. Um, and even sometimes I watch stuff that's not intended to be horror movies, but they're kind of like uh dramas, but sometimes they may have like intensity to them, and I still feel like fear. So, and I have to start watching those and wait till I'm around like people to watch it. It's just something about how my mind calculates what's happening. I
Yeah,
can't do it.
right.
Um, some action movies, um, I have to be in certain settings to want to get into. Um, stuff that I normally watch by myself are like TV series or series, um, movies that I'm familiar or that are just like rom coms or like that type of thing. I can do
Hmm.
solo, but everything else, like I need other minds, you know,
Yeah.
conversing with. But
Do
yeah,
you think you have had like does that make you feel like a sense of like safety if like or comfort if someone else is around?
I think so. Cause
Or
one
you'll
time,
be like less triggered by it?
I think so. Yeah, because like for example, the series I think it was on Netflix, Manifest, about the
Hmm.
people going into like years of the future, and then they
I couldn't
started.
even get through that. It was just like it was too much. But go ahead.
Well, at certain points it got scary because they started talking about like apocalyptic type and things had going
Right.
on.
I don't like movies like that either. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and it scared the crap out of me. And I told my mom, I was like, "Well, I'm watching this show, and I don't think I should watch it because like it got into it." And then what happened was I let her watch it. I let her watch it with me, some
Why
of
would
it.
you do that? I don't know. Knowing your mama,
No, but
like
it
why would
helped. It
oh okay.
helped. It helped because she was like, "Oh, ain't nothing to this." Da, 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 da. And then we just start discussing what was going on, and then that
Yeah.
kind of took some of the pressure
Yeah.
off that I put on myself. I don't know what that is, but I feel
Yeah.
like scary movies, like if someone else is there and they're talking, like maybe they can make it more funny than it actually is scary,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and then it's like not a big deal after that.
Right.
So it for those type of things, I need people. So I know
Yeah.
what my limits, my boundaries are.
Right, right.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
with the Manifest show, like shows that have like a lot of characters, really hard for me to watch because Manifest has so many characters and I just couldn't keep it. Like shows like Shameless, I really, really want to watch it, but focus on do like one character per episode, like Euphoria do, because I can't with all these characters. Like it's just like I really want to pay attention, but if I look away and then you doing something completely different, I can't follow the storyline. Like I guess it's
Mhm.
just my attention span. But I hate shows that have well, I don't say I hate them, but it's just hard for me to watch them if it's like
Yeah.
a ton of characters. Like I
A-
can't.
And one show I watched, they introduced like 20 characters like in the first episode, and I was like,
Right. And I guess you can say with reality shows it's kind of the same thing, but there's a certain structure that reality shows has. Like when we
mm,
like for Real Housewives, for example, like for maybe like say if there's seven housewives, they may focus on like four of them on this episode, and then catch up with like the other three on the next episode.
mhm,
So
yeah.
yeah,
But that's all I had for like TVs and movies. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Did you have anything?
like what do you like? Do you believe like in time travel? Like that's just something I've been thinking about lately. Like time travel, like.
Okay, so I heard this really. I know last episode we talked about conspiracy and time travel was one of the things that
Mhm.
I mentioned. But to be honest, what I should have said is I don't know that much about conspiracy theories for me to give a
I mean,
solid
that's an honest
answer.
answer. That's an honest answer.
Yeah, because I remember hearing one thing in particular about time travel, and it was like Donald Trump came from another realm or something like that. And then what they said had made sense because they had like maybe showed like some type of picture or something, and I was like, oh my god, like that looks, da da da. But that's really the only reference that I have in relates
Mhm.
to time travel. But um, like sometimes they have those shows and they say, well, you can go back. Usually they're like Christmas episodes where they go back in the
Right.
past and they
I love those
watch.
episodes.
Um, I feel like if I had the option to do time travel,
Mhm.
like whether I would want to go backwards or forward, I would probably, mm, I would, for me, I would probably want to go backwards.
Mhm.
Just I guess to like childhood because I
Mhm.
feel like childhood was when my life was like most normal
Yeah.
and like it seemed, there was appeared to be less issues, and I guess I probably wouldn't know the issues because I was a child. But I
Yeah,
feel like now in adulthood, like I some of the obstacles are like just in my face every day,
yeah,
and I just would like to relive a moment where I didn't have those type of thoughts or how to deal with that type of stuff just for like a while. Um,
yeah,
but if I were to go to the future, I would like to see. I don't know. The future is kind of scary because, like, I feel like you would see something and don't know how it happened. Like, say for instance,
yeah,
if you go 20 years in the future and like they just put you in your living room or something, I don't know. And then whatever is going on that you see, you don't know how what brought it there. Like,
yeah.
so I don't know.
Um, I feel like with the future, like um, I won't. I like not knowing. Like I like because I feel like with not knowing, it's just like you can not knowing gives you the ability to dream and to fantasize. And for me, that's
Mhm.
what I do. Like I just fantasize about what my life could be, and it's just like I don't want like peeking into the future to maybe ruin that or like obscure that. And if I would want to see the future, I would want to see like a little like smidget of something. So something I couldn't really tell what it is, but allows me to guess and assume. So I still can like have that fantasy. But like we're going back in the past, like I don't like to limit myself because like people are like, okay, well, where would you go if you could try and travel back in the past or like whatever? Like, and for me, it's like I want to like experience everything, but just like maybe like at different ages. Like I always tell people, like if I were to go back in the '70s, or I probably want to be like in my 20s if I was in the '70s, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but if I was in the '80s, I probably want to be like a child because like there's a lot of uh like new toys coming out, new a lot of like music that was very like poppy and like I feel like a kid would really enjoy themselves at that time. Um, because it reminds me of this one. This is one of my favorite movies with Tom Hanks. Big, like that's one of my favorite movies. Because basically what he I think this was set in the '80s too, but he was a kid, but he got to be an adult in the '80s and working in the toy industry. So he was able to give like a child's perspective on toys as a like a grown man or whatever. And it's a really good movie. Um but yeah, if I was in the '90s, I probably want to be like in my college years, like like maybe like
Mhm.
between 18 and 21 or something like that.
Mhm.
But not like well into my 20s. And like if I was in 2000s, like if I was in the 2000s, I would definitely be a teenager because like
I knew you was gonna say that.
I feel like it'd be like the best time to be a teenager. Like
Yeah.
the amount
Agree.
of trouble you could get into, but the amount of fun you could have is just like I wish I could. If that's the one thing out of all the ones I mentioned, that's the one thing I wish I could
Mhm.
do because that was like to me looking at the videos and it's just like even though I was a child then during like the early 2000s, it's like wow to like really experience that was like it's just like no comparison. It's just like what a time to be alive, you know? Um and like I would want to be like in my like late mid 20s, like in the early 2010s, because I feel like that's a special time too. Like I feel like that's like a lost era that people don't talk
Mhm.
about a lot. Is like the early, like 2010 between like 2014, 2015. That was like a very interesting and that was a good time for music too. 2010 between 2014, that was a good time for music. Like there's like a lot of like Meek Mill coming out, like Drake, Kanye West, Jay-Z, like they were at their prime. Like that was a good time for music. So I can imagine like how the club scene was or how it was to, like have your first job or something like that. Like
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I always say. Like if I were to go back in time, I want to be a certain age, when I'm experiencing it. And like definitely like look back at my own life and like experience some and feel some things again. I would love to do that. And I feel like time travel, I feel like it's definitely real because people always talk about how when you have dreams, like you're the person, like when you dream, like that's just another version of you, pretty much, you know? So that's when it makes me think like time travel is real.
Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought about like the age part of going through different times, but for as time periods, I feel like I would like to experience time period, and I don't even know. I want to say it's maybe like whatever eras like the Dorothy Dandridge type of vibe because I just appreciate the fashion
Right.
from that era. Like I would just love because I mean fashion now is great. You know, there's a
And
lot
then
of
there's that person, well, that wouldn't be a good time for us, like, oh, well, that was racist back then. Like, look, let me have this.
first of all it's racism now, and I get that it's progressed, but I mean like I just want to experience
It's a
the culture.
hypothetical.
Yeah, and like where the guys they brought you flowers and say, "Ma'am, would you?"
Right.
Like I
Like,
just.
whenever I'm watching a movie set in those times, I have to really pay attention because they talk so fast back then. They'd be
Mhm.
like, well, you need to go right there. And I'm like, what are you saying, sir? I'd be lost if I was in them times. Like, well,
Uh,
you need to go, you need to go around the corner. You need to go past the tree and skip over the bridge. I'm just like, whoa,
right,
slow down.
right. But I would like to experience
And
that.
then the
But
boss would just be like, well, okay, I'll get right to it. Like, how do you understand what he said? Like, all right, honey, that's fine with me. Like,
yeah,
okay. But that
yeah.
reminds me of like in good times, like this is off topic, but like I hate how James treated Florida in good times because he'd be like, dang baby, why don't you just open the window? And she'd be like, oh James, I'm sorry.
So apparently, the reason why they killed him off of Good Times is because he wanted the character to stop being so like stereotypical and stop struggling and like just how
Right.
they were portraying black family and black character and a black dad, and like he was really fighting for that, and they wouldn't agree to do it, so that's why they killed off his character.
Dang.
And I was like, oh, well, that sounds true, but
Because he was always angry.
yeah, yeah, he was and stressed out, but. That's all I had. Any other questions?
I want to talk about for our last like topic, I guess. Like just like some of my thoughts on reincarnation because I follow this girl on TikTok and she was just like she gives like a lot of good perspectives on reincarnation.
Oh, this is gonna
Um
be scary.
no, it's not scary.
Yeah.
It's very spiritual.
Oh.
It's just about like where you go when you pass away, like
Oh, okay.
and how you just experience like where like she was just saying like all the things that she knows about reincarnation. Basically some of the things she said was like when you do like pass away, like you get to choose which life you go into, and like every life that you live, you have to learn a lesson. And she was saying how like say if you didn't learn your lesson in this lifetime, you're gonna have to be faced with those same problems in your next
That sounds like
lifetime.
a movie I saw. Does that sound like a movie you saw?
No, not that I can think of. If you can think
Not
of it, let me know.
what's the movie with Soul? Was that not Soul?
Yeah, but he didn't get to choose
Oh, okay.
but I mean that's a good way to tie into reincarnation because like I mean I like that movie. It had a good ending, but it was just like kind of all over the place sometimes. But
Yeah.
it was a cute movie. I just wish he wasn't like dead for like most of it, and
That
I
was
wish
a
they could
heavy
have.
movie. I wasn't expecting that
Yeah,
when I clicked on it. I was like, wait
it
a minute,
really
they need to
was.
put something like a disclaimer at the front of this. Like,
They don't have a disclaimer for empaths, like.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think like reincarnation. Like I do believe in reincarnation. Like I feel like you are not just like your body, and I like it makes me like I like the idea of it because it makes me like not afraid to die. Because for a lot of my life, and like still I still am a little bit afraid to die because I'm young and I have a son and like I want to be here. But like it just makes me like think of death in a different way because if I do pass away, like or die, I know that's like that doesn't mean like my life is over and that's just like this life I'm living now. May be over, but my soul is like eternal.
Yeah.
So I just like it makes me like think of life in a different way. Um,
I saw something on Facebook one time that kind of made me think about death not so scary.
Hmm.
Although it's still very much is scary to me. Um, but they did it from the perspective of twins in the mother's womb,
Hmm.
and the twins were talking to each other, and they were like, "Man, after this, uh, one twin was like, well, there was a twin that believed in life after being a fetus and a
Hmm.
twin that didn't. And then they was like, they were talking to each other and they was like, well, after this, we won't have the umbilical cord no more and we won't be able to have life or da 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 da. And then the other twin was like, well, you will have life. Um, it's just that what you're using in this life won't be necessary to survive in the next life, or da 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 da. And every aspect of, I guess, the fetus growing, they had a conversation like that. And then, like, they were actually born. And then the twin that believed in it was like, see, I told you, da 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 da. And then, like, the twin that didn't believe was like, realized that there was life outside of, like, a new life, a new version of life or something like that. And when I read that, that was like so touching. I wish I could
Right.
find it, but that was something that kind of like, it's like, oh, okay, that's a nice way to
Right.
look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I always think about that, like, because that's like what we talked about last week with like soulmates and all that.
Hmm.
Because like I feel like, if when you go into another life, like, you may have a different soulmate than your soulmate in your current life, and that's what makes me feel like now, like you can have more than one soulmate or more than one connection with someone, because like if like the soulmate you may meet in another life could be completely different from the one you have in this one. So it makes me think like, okay, well, there's definitely like it's definitely possible to have more than one soulmate or connection or twin flame, whatever you want to call it. And I just think that's just such an interesting topic to me. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I really had to like say about that.
Um, Anything else on your topic list?
No.
I just want to share before we wrap up. Um, I've heard on one of the podcast, Joe Budden podcast episodes that they may be doing a tour. So I just want to put this out there that I think that if they do announce that, we got to put some coins to the side because I think that would be good for research purposes,
Yes.
because how amazing would it be to like tour off of doing a podcast? Like,
Right.
uh the hashtag goals.
Right.
Um, but I think we should do that to like just study the art of, podcasting, maybe on the
Yeah.
road. Um,
Right.
just like, and we could vlog it and like
Hmm.
put it up on the channel. And I think that would be a perfect, like, almost like field trip for what we do.
Right. Right.
So
Definitely.
just keep that in mind. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Want to thank the audience, for watching. Be sure to subscribe, push the notifications, follow us on Instagram, social medias, and put the links on the video and in the comments or the caption section. And thank you for watching.